we're all leaders in this because we're all important and we all have something important to say. Could we be the leaders today without all of the technology that has taken place? Because we can reach far and wide so much more than we could before. To be a good leader, you have to be a good listener. There's so many qualities that you have to be a leader. Leadership it's fueled with the right intentions, the right goals. If you want something, if you truly want it, I'm going to test someone. When they say, I really want to do something, I go, but do you really want it? Because you would have done it by now.
Remember, adversity is your advantage.
Hey friends, welcome back to another amazing episode of the CEO Show with your host, yours truly, Bryce Henson. And we have an incredible episode today. And this show, as you know, is dedicated to teaching leadership, promoting capitalism, and defending free speech. And today's episode's theme is around leadership. And just to give you a little backstory, I've always been attracted to life wisdom. Ever since my grandma had a huge impact in my life. She led an incredible life. And I've done a lot of things wrong in my life, but one of the things that I've done right is always seek wisdom. So we are here at my Mission Viejo Fit Body Forever location, and we have 6 friends who are clients of Fit Body Forever. We're going to talk a little bit about their fitness experience with Fit Body Forever, because in leadership, one of the best ways to lead yourself is through fitness. And in addition to that, we're also going to be able to extract some life wisdom lessons from the group today. So ladies, welcome to the show. Very excited to have you.
Thank you.
So Sherry, you're on my right first. Why don't we talk a little bit about Fit Body Forever? So the first essence of questions are going to go around table and talk a little bit about your experience with Fit Body Forever. So from your perspective, how long have you been a Fit Body Forever client, and what about the program attracted you?
It's been a year in April that I came to this location, and I've really, truly enjoyed it. It's 3 times a week that I come, and I'm in the group, the 55 and older group, which is perfect. And I love it because I can tune my workout to what I can do, and I can achieve a lot more that way. It's helped me a lot in strength, and I've noticed I have a 3-story home. I can climb the stairs really nice now without a lot of, I had knee pain before, and now my legs are a lot stronger. So that's been one of the benefits that I've achieved.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Before I flip it over to Michelle, what would you say in your perspective, you look back before you joined us in April, why did the program attract you? When you first heard about it or saw about it, what was the thing that were like, you know what, I want to give that a try?
I moved from a city of Orange to Mission Viejo.
Which for our audience is just about 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
10, 15.
Yeah, exactly. And so I moved, and the drive to Orange, I had a workout down there with a trainer, and I'd done that for over 20 years. So I truly believe in fitness and the value of it, the importance of doing the best for your body, because you only have one.
You only have one vehicle, right?
You got to take care of it. And so when I was working out there, I learned a lot, the basics. But I wanted something closer, so I didn't have to drive all that way. And I started looking, and I found this location. And I thought, wow, just down the street. So here I am. I came in the door, and I loved the way I was welcomed, and always am welcomed. I didn't know if that was just a thing at one time, but no, it's been consistent.
Oh, good.
So I love it, yeah. And the family here. That's what we call it, the family.
And before we flip it over, if I could ask you one big takeaway, looking back at your experience, like one piece of value that you've got from the program, what would you say?
The value of, it's the camaraderie and everybody being able to do their own thing, and understanding that we all have different levels of being able to physically do something, and whatever that level is, it's okay. And that's the value to me.
Love it.
It's okay.
And I love the camaraderie aspect as well. And for friends, for the audience, we launched Fit Body Shoot, I want to say October of 2022. And it's interesting, just to give our audience some context, I'm a huge fan of Fit Body Forever. When I first saw the program and started to develop it a few years ago with my friend Stephen Hadley, who had a very successful Fit Body Forever program in Alabama, one of our successful Fit Body Bootcamp and Forever programs, it just really spoke to me because, again, actually even before this, to give some context, before I opened a fitness fitness facility, I was looking at different trends, and I wanted to serve the older population. I just didn't know how. And then when the fitness concept came, it was just a match made in heaven. So even though I don't get a chance to, spend time with you at the sessions, on the back end, it's just been a labor of love, and it's just very gratifying. And to come in here and feel your energy and feel the friendships, that just warms my heart. So,
and I have to add too, the fact that it's 55 and older, that was an attraction for sure, because I felt like I didn't want to have to keep up with 20-year-olds or 30-year-olds, and not that I couldn't, of course. I'm just kidding. In our minds we can, but anyway, that was a big attraction right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sherry. We'll flip it over to you, Michelle. Why don't you share?
So I started in February of this year. I had surgery in August I had my abdominal muscle removed for cancer.
Oh, wow.
So I was starting fresh, and I had a friend that attended, and she just raved about it. So she got me a pass. And after the pass, I was like, okay, I'm in. And it's been a whirlwind, and it's the friendships and the feeling comfortable and being with other people who might have some limitations. And just, it's been a miracle that I can now get up off my bed and, get up off the toilet. Things that I would never have thought about before, because I was fully healthy before any of the surgeries. So it was a big shock to my mental health and then my physical health. So I'm still slowly healing. And just every day I come, it's like a huge, feather in my cap that I'm progressing and getting stronger. And if I can't do what everybody else is doing, there's always a modification, and no one cares what you're modifying as long as you're doing something to progress yourself. So it's been awesome.
On that note, would you feel supported by the coaches in the community? Would that be fair to say?
Oh, definitely. That is one of the biggest reasons why I continue to come. And when I feel guilty if I miss, is because you are a family here, and when you come back, if you've missed or you've been on vacation or something, everyone's like, oh, we've missed you, and you're not just as what I would call wallpaper. You are somebody here, and everybody reaches out. I mean, everybody reaches out, and the coaches make it phenomenal in the aspect that they're always reaching out, or they remember something about you. It's very personal, and you feel like you're a part of the family.
Oh, I love that. I want to, before I pass over to Barbie, I want to play the devil's advocate. What would you say was the biggest challenge of the program, whether starting or even to this day?
I'd say just making sure you're coming. There's
Showing
some
up.
days that, especially for me, if I don't have a good night's sleep, I'm sometimes a little bit groggier in the morning, and I don't feel like coming, but then I feel like I'll let myself down, or my friends, and I want to see their faces, and I want to hear, what good thing they're doing or what's coming up good. I love that aspect that our trainer does in the morning of, okay, what's something good that's going on? And it could be, someone today had, I got a sticker for my thermos, or, water bottle. It could be something like that, or it could be, someone's birthday, but we're always acknowledging something going on good in someone's life.
Stack and win brings some positivity.
Right.
I love that.
So.
Well, thank you for sharing. Barbie, we'd love to hear from you.
So I started working out seriously when I was 27. It was when I moved back down to Southern California from the Bay Area. And I joined a gym, and I was doing aerobics probably 5 days a week. I was running, I was playing tennis. And in about 6 weeks, I lost 5 pounds, but I went from like a 9 and 11 pant to a 2.
This is back when you were 27, when you moved back down to Southern California.
Down here, and I was a 2 for years. It was shocking how little weight I lost, but it was all converted to muscle. So, and of course, at that time, everybody at the gym was about the same age. They were all young. Everybody was single. So it was really a great experience when you were working out. You had a lot of people around who you knew and you could, chat with. So, as time went on, people move on. And I ended up leaving that gym. And I moved to Aliso. And in the interim, briefly, I was on a bike and a car backed out of a space and it hit my right knee. So it turned out my femur crushed my tibial plateau. And
how old were you at this point?
gosh, it was in 2001. So 40?
12.
40, I think. So, and I was running regularly at that point. That was my favorite. And that's hard because I've never been able to do it. I just never could quite get it right. And then little by little, I tried a couple different gyms. The problem was no one was friendly. And I was doing just weights, and I was bored, and I just kind of stopped doing much of anything. So I saw the ad for, the 55 plus on Facebook.
That's where I saw it.
I'm like, oh, well, geez, that sounds interesting. And literally from the first moment I came in here, it's been terrific. I mean, I got back in shape. Of course, I'm stronger, but the friends I've made here are the biggest benefit. The women are remarkable, and as Michelle was saying, everybody is friendly and they care about you as a person.
Barbara, let me ask you this. Did you expect to tap into a community, or were you specifically coming for your own fitness? I'm just curious just to set the expectation for our viewers.
Well, I figured it would be a class, and I've always done really well in classes. The problem is the classes at most of the gyms are too hard for me at this point. They're just too hard, and I have all these overuse injuries, so I figured it would be some kind of a class, but I didn't have any idea how meaningful it would become and how quickly I would make the friends I've made here. So it's, of course, a great reason to want to come, but also being able to get strong and fit again has been wonderful because I always, of course, feel better when I'm in shape.
Totally.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that, Barbie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Linda, I would love to hear from you. What's your experience been? Why did you join? And maybe some of the challenges and the biggest benefits.
I've been a member for a little over a year. I was around Valentine's Day last year.
So about February 2023?
And today was my 126th session. But
126?
Yeah, and it should be more. But the thing is, last year I took a lot of travel, a lot of trips, and so I missed. And you really, gosh, if you're not here every week, your muscles at our age just regress. But one of the two main reasons why I've always been in decent shape, but I mostly just walked. I did gyms when I was younger, but I always put it off my own health. You're always putting everybody else first, worked and, maybe did a little bit of this here and there. But now that I'm more retired and health issues, there were so many things. I too had cancer, but mine's 7 years out, but that took a lot out of me. And the more you read with prevention, I don't have heart disease yet, so I figure I'm going to prevent that. And even with the cancer that you have, the outcomes are better when you exercise.
Oh, yeah.
So there's that, but mostly it was travel because I found, with the group of people I'm traveling with a little bit younger than and I could keep up with them with just about everything except for when you start climbing those stairs and hiking up the hills and I'm huffing and puffing and go, if I want to really enjoy traveling, I need to be in better shape.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what when I joined, and it has made a difference. I mean, I did so many things last year I wouldn't have been able to do.
Because of, joining Fit Body
Because
Forever.
of working out, yeah. Here.
And how many times do you come a week? 2 to 3?
At least 2, 3 if I can get here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what would you say if you look back and since, joining February 2023, if you could only say what's the one biggest benefit, what would that be for you, Linda?
I just feel better.
Better.
Like you say, you may drag yourself to get here because you're tired or whatever, and then when you leave, it's a good feel when you leave. Yeah. And for me, I like the structure. I don't think anybody's mentioned that. I like that it's a set time because when I was at the gym before, I'd say, I don't feel like going this morning. I'll go this afternoon. And this afternoon we roll around, I'll go tonight. And then, I'll go tomorrow, whatever. But I know it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And we do have makeup sessions now, so I'm really glad that is there. But the structure and the coaches being able to, because my memory, like, so didn't we show you this exercise? Well, yeah, but I forgot what I'm doing. Like what does like SS mean and all of that? It's like, oh, okay, now I know, but I'll forget next week. But I like the structure of it and the coaches and the camaraderie. I mean, I think there's nothing better. And I also like, you come as you are. I mean, like, you don't have to worry about being body shamed. I mean, everybody is at a different point in their health and their journey, and health, like surgeries and stuff, but they modify what you can do. And I think that's, to me, one of the most important things. So
you feel welcome and supported?
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. Chris, you're up. Tell us a little bit about your experience with fitness, with Fit Body.
Oh, let's see. I'm doing one of your things.
Thank you.
I love this place. I just have to say that. The biggest thing for me is I love this place. I mean, it's been absolutely a stunning enjoyment. It's brought out the best in me, and I get to enjoy the best in everybody else here. I also came from a background of a lot of illness. I have lupus, and I've been able to be pretty open about that in this gym, which is something I always kept confidential. I'm a retired psychologist, so it was nothing I could ever talk about at work. So I've been able to come in here and just be me. And I remember I too saw it on Facebook, and I was like, I remember showing my husband and said, "What do you think?" And he said, "Just get out of bed and go."
Yeah.
Because I was living a life in bed. I've been on chemo 3 separate years to bring it down, and I have a lot of joint issues. So I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but there was something about the ad, and I think it was the 55 that really hooked me. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be 70 this year. And
good for you.
I cannot believe I'm going to be 70. I mean, she's 93. I mean, sorry, Mary. Yeah.
Well, I just called her a baby.
Well, I know. And so for me, it's been like, it's like, it's crazy. It's like, if people out there have not found us yet, my greatest prayer would be find us. And
Try it.
Help me put the word out there, because I cannot take the benefits of all this by myself.
Chris, let me ask you this, though, because there's something in someone's mind, maybe who sees an ad that, they're excited, they see that, but there's something like, oh, shoot, hesitancy. What was that hesitancy for you? Because I want to talk that out.
Yeah, for me, I'll be honest with you, it was money. And not that I don't have the money, but I got into the point in my life where, and this is some of the wisdom that I've gained over the many years, is don't spend on things that are not that important. I mean, I've learned to not just waste money. And I did have that thought when I came in was, is this going to be a waste? Am I going to be consistent? Am I going to get something out of this?
Am I going to get the value?
Yeah, I didn't know. And I've paid a lot of gym memberships. I'm also an athlete. I was an athlete for my whole life. And so when I came in, I thought, am I going to get my money's worth? I mean, it's so much more than that. I had no idea when I came in here that this wasn't just about fitness. It was getting stronger and all those things, and I love that. But it was making the friends, trusting people in here. Trust is not an easy thing for me. I've never really trusted people, so I keep everything to myself. Since I've been in here, I've been like, do you want to know about my bowel movements? Or I'm sorry, but there's nothing that we can't talk about here. And most of us go on a walk before we even start the gym, because that has been, we get invited. I mean, this is not just a pair up with someone. This is multiple pairs of us going together.
And let's talk about that for a second, because I think just, in life, as you get older, it becomes harder to have the camaraderie, right? When you're younger, you have a bunch of friends, and then just life stages. So I would imagine just hearing that, vibe and the feedback, that's a huge value of the program, because at where you're at in stage of your life. that be fair to say?
Well, I think so because, as friendly and outgoing as I seem to be,
You are.
I had become a recluse. I have a 19-year-old son at home, and I was staying home most of the time, preserving what energy, what joint things I had preserving. I am no longer preserving. I came into this gym, I couldn't even do the simplest things. They were all doing it, but I couldn't do it. And within 3 months, I would say, my whole thing changed. And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for Fit Body, and I would say to anybody out there, even if you're not 55, you should be in this gym, not any gym, but in a gym where the coaches genuinely care. I've never come in that door and not been welcomed, not just by the group here, but by the coaches. Our coaches, I think, are the best.
I agree.
And that's John. I mean, primarily because he's the one who's here more consistently. So
Yeah.
that's mine.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, Mary, how about you?
I came to Fit Body after seeing it on Facebook, and I thought, what a great idea. I had seen Fit Body boot camps, but I didn't know what a boot camp was. And so I called, and I spoke with Donna. Okay, sorry guys.
I'm crying too.
This is what's beautiful about you, too.
And I spoke with Donna, and she filled me in on everything. And it was the most welcoming, warm hospitality over the phone that I had seen and experienced. And when I came into the gym, it was like I had been here 100 times. Everybody was just like, "Hi, welcome, come on in. It's great to see you." And the program that you lead here is something that I've not experienced, and it's a fun workout. There's a lot of talking, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of girls chit chat, but deep down inside, we all get such an amazing workout, and I think that that's one of the greatest benefits. Obviously, is the workout, because that's what we're here for. But the byproduct is the friendships, going out for dinners, going to movies, doing things outside of the gym is really, really wonderful. I had a knee replacement in 2022, and it stopped me dead cold. I'd had 2 Achilles repairs because I've always been an athlete, not an athlete per se, but I've been, athletic and active and the whole bit. And it's like, I just came to a point where I realized that I needed to do something for me. So,
Here you are.
sorry.
So this is your time.
This is my time. It's been great, and I love you girls. Sorry.
We love her.
That tears me up too. I mean, this is a labor of love, and nothing gives me more gratitude to be here and experience your positivity, and that's the whole mission behind this. So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Better than Botox.
Check.
That's the second phase of the program. Free
Shot
Botox.
when you walk in the door.
Right? Bryce is like, Botox on me.
All right, so now that foundation is there, because I wanted to kind of tee this up, because fitness for me is the foundation for life. It's the foundation to lead a beautiful, healthy, vibrant life. And this is a passion and a labor of love. So I wanted to start there. The other part of the conversation is really about extracting some life wisdom, because this podcast is about leadership. It's about leading a better life. And that's a big vision we want to be able to impart on our audience. And there's no better audience to be able to seek some wisdom than you people that have had some great life wisdom in years. So with that said, kind of transitioning, I want to kind of roundtable, not necessarily go around the corner, just like we're chatting, friends at lunch, but talk about, looking back at your life, if you could relive one part of your life, and maybe not necessarily a highlight, but, what would be one part of your life that you look back to with fondness, and why?
So I'll start. I think the most, because I thought about this after I saw the message, and I think it was in the 80s. I moved, down here. I joined the gym. I was making all kinds of friends, and I got in a ridiculously good shape. And so, again, everybody was young and single, and I lived on Balboa Island on the bayfront, year-round, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It was just an incredible, magical time, just magical. So much fun and so many good experiences. And really, I made all new girlfriends when I moved down here. I knew a couple of guys, but I didn't know any women. So because of that gym, I made all good, new friends. But fortunately, on a one-on-one, I'm pretty good about introducing myself. I don't like walking up to a group where everybody knows each other and I don't. That's hard for me. But it was just a great, great time of my life.
If you could describe that time of your life in maybe a few words or a sentence, how would you describe it?
Free, joyful, and fun.
Love it.
Yeah.
Who else?
Yeah.
For me, it was coming to America, without a doubt.
Why?
I had, some of you know this, but not all of you, but I grew up in orphanages till I was 18. And so I had no parents. I didn't know I had siblings from the same parents. My mother was from Israel, my father was from Greece. But every time they had a child, they gave it up to an orphanage. And so I grew up with many kids, so I really liked a group kind of thing. So, but it will always be my greatest memory is when I landed in Los Angeles in 1978. I came here telling myself, I worked for British Petroleum Oil Company, and I'd just gotten out of school with a psychology degree working in the accounting department. But my greatest thing was getting off that plane. I'd never seen a freeway before. I couldn't believe what I saw. Palm trees and sunshine. And you said free, and that just, oh, God, that gets me. Now I'm going to tear up because I was not free before I came here. And I was very much a victim. In many, many ways, I felt a victim. So when I came here, I swore I was never, ever going to be a victim again of my circumstances or challenges or anything. And coming here alone, I came a month later and moved here entirely with knowing nobody. And that was a huge risk to give up my job, to come here with limited funds and to say, no matter what, I'm going to stay here. And my life, that pinpoint of that moment of coming here was the start of life for me, which is why I'm so young for my age.
That's right.
Is because I really didn't start living till when I came 22. Yeah. I didn't feel like I had a life till then. So I felt like I was living my life.
And I'm so glad you came. I'm so grateful for that. I love the immigrant edge story. I love this country. I love freedom.
Me too.
And it just warms my heart, right? It warms my heart. What about the opportunity here changed the game for you?
Leaving a life of loneliness and abandonment. And realizing that the only person that was going to change my future was me. And I didn't know that before I came. I somehow just kept reaching out to people who seemed further down the road than me, more positive than me, had more than me. And those were the people I wanted what they had. It's like that movie where I want what she's having. Do you remember that movie?
I'll have what she's having.
Yeah. And that's kind of it for me in a nutshell. It is the immigration story, which is, it's a beautiful thing for people who don't come from this country to realize that, I could really have anything as long as I kept reaching for it. Mm-hmm. And it was one step at a time. It was literally a one day at a time thing for me, and it continues to be. No doors are shut now in my life. Every door is open, and I get to choose which door I walk through. And I get to choose to experience it to the fullest. And if I'm done with that, I can go through another door. And that's America to me.
Yeah.
It's given me the freedom.
Linda, do you want to
Well, I was
join
just
in?
going to say, yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that made me feel
Can you
very
wait for the
blessed
mic?
that we live in this country, because there's so many other countries and the wars and everything that's going on that sometimes we take it for granted. And that's why I like traveling, and I do go to some third world countries and try to do, some. I know there's several people in our group that volunteer and travel, but I just think we're very fortunate, and there's so many people that don't have what we have, and we take things for granted. And I guess for me, one of my turning points is I was born and raised in California, and I still live here. But I mean, my parents, I'm the middle of 5 siblings, and my parents always made life look easy and marriage look easy, and raised really strong Christian family, and I just thought life was going to be easy. And then you get married and you start having kids, and all these responsibilities that you have to work at, and I never really felt like I ever knew who I was until probably in my 50s. And I went back to school.
What about that, actually? It's interesting that you say that. You didn't know who you were until your 50s, which shows growth and maturation. What about that period of time? What changed for you then for you to have a better understanding of who you were?
I think you learn. I mean, everybody's journey is a little bit different, and at some point in time, you've got to realize you're in charge of your own happiness. So if you're not happy with the way things are, you have challenges, and we, like you said, we all make mistakes. So you learn from your mistakes, and then, I didn't have a lot of self-esteem either, and it took me until my 50s and I went back to school. I got my degree and secured a really good job working for UCI Medical Center, and I have 4 beautiful children. I have all these grandkids, but I think I didn't have I needed to become who I needed to be until my 50s. So that's why I was saying, when I finally found, a lot of times you circle back to where you started, and you appreciate more when you've expanded.
So you give me some hope now that I still have a lot of life and a lot of wisdom and a lot of internal knowledge to conquer.
Yeah, and it's never too late to change. And going back to exercise, I'm 75 last year. So it's never too late to get back to the gym and get in shape.
I love that.
Yeah.
You want to chime in, Sherry?
Yeah, taking off on what you said, today happens to be Normandy, the battle,
80
and
years.
it's been 80 years.
Yeah.
And I, in my 50s, got to go to Normandy, and it was very emotional. And today in the gym is an example of how our coaches are. John said, Sherry, I could tell you were a little upset when you talked about what made you happy. Well, what made me happy is freedom, the freedom we get to have every day. And I was thinking about those guys over there, and he said, well, do you have anybody in your family that was involved in that or that goes back in history? And I said, no, but I know that we're here because of this. Yeah. And we have the freedom we have because of this. And we have the choices that we have. And we can go to the gym. We can choose where we want to go. We can decide if we want to eat, not eat, whatever we want to do. And you don't get that just everywhere else, as we see all the strife in the world. So coming here, and I was thinking about that as I was driving home. I've never had a coach like that came up and said, Sherry, what? And he touched me on my shoulder, and he said, Sherry, are you okay? And he asked me, and I told him, and he said, and I had to go get a Kleenex. But it was okay because that's John. That's the way he is, and and you guys too. Some of you, said, "Are you okay?" And I'm okay. But that was what it was about for me. So my changing time in my life was when I was in my 30s. And I came to realize a lot of things that I thought were true, like Cinderella and the prince is going to come and rescue you were not true, And so consequently, I went through a lot of changes. A lot of it had to do with love and then loss. And the greatest loss I had was my sister, losing her to breast cancer. And it changed my whole life. It shook me up. And things that I thought were important weren't as important. Because of that loss.
Actually, I want to dive there. That's the next part of the question I have. Speaking of priorities, and things change in life. And when you're younger, you look at things and you probably prioritize them very differently as time goes on. So I would love for you to speak to that and then open it up for the audience as well. What priorities did you have when you were younger that now have changed and maybe not so significant in your later years?
I think we all, speak for me though, I guess, I think we all, our values in what's important. And family is the most important thing. And I grew up in a rough family, I think we were the parents, the kids were the parents. And so I never knew the value of having a really nice family relationship. And so I think that's why I was looking for Prince Charming. But going back to your question again, I think it's prioritizing that is important. When we leave this world, we only have one thing that we can really truly hold here. It's not your car or your jewelry or whatever. It's your family, and leaving a legacy that they know you. They know that you love them and that you do things with them. You help them, you encourage them, you support them emotionally, and you hug them and you kiss them and you tell them you love them, and even the dog. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just, those are, to me, the most important values in my life is my family. And if I didn't have them, I don't know what I would do. So, but otherwise, there is a family here.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that. Michelle, would love to hear a little bit about your perspective on priorities and how things have changed.
So when I was younger, I prioritized getting my education and then my career, because that was who I saw myself as. A speech pathologist. I was working at Kaiser and running the hospitals and the staff, and that was my priority. And then as I got a little older, and then with the cancer, and then when it was the last surgery, and they're like, okay, my kids really didn't know what was going on, and they were in college, and they're like, it's 12 o'clock at night, you're going in for emergency surgery, you need to call them in case you don't make it. And this was 2 years ago, and it really changed my life, because we don't take anything with us, and it's our lasting memory of how we impacted our family or impacted our friends. Really changed my thought of how do I want to be thought of when I do leave this world. And it really changed of, it's okay if my daughter's on her 5th year of college, because it's okay. She's happy, I love her, and little things don't matter as much as how other people feel. How do I leave them feeling? What is my impact on somebody's life?
And now that's your priority.
That's my priority at this point. And it's not my job. It's not where I'm at success, money-wise, car-wise, house-wise. It's not going with me. It's how I affect my kids, my stepkids, my husband, my family, my friends, and physically how I feel, because that impacts how I treat others, is when I'm feeling good.
Sure.
So that's my priority now, is my impact on others.
I love that. And I'll interject here for these questions as well. It'll be kind of round table, so we don't have to all go around the horn. But if you feel like you need to jump in, jump in. If not, I have a lot of other things to ask. So.
Well, I was trying to think of what were my priorities. I'm a middle child, so I don't think about things very deeply anyway. So I just think about having fun. That's pretty much it. Staying out of trouble. But I think as I grew up, I was incredibly blessed to have amazing parents. Amazing. We were so lucky. And, they didn't have a lot of money. We didn't know. I mean, what did we know? They gave us everything we needed. My father taught us about, integrity and honesty, and and kindness. And my mother was just the epitome of grace. I mean, just amazing. So my life was going to be just like theirs. I was going to meet my husband in college, and we were going to get married after college, and then I was going to be a school teacher, because that's what my mom did, and that's what I thought my life was going to be. So unfortunately for me, I met the wrong guy in college who made it his mission to make me feel terrible about myself. And it fortunately had quite a lasting impact. So I've never been married, even though I thought I would be and would have children. But, I've managed to find so many other ways to fulfill my life outside of a marriage and a family. I teach second grade Sunday school. I've been doing that for 26 years. And I give back a lot. My father was incredibly charitable. And I give a lot of money and time to charitable causes because I think we have to. For those who are truly blessed, much is expected. And I have that philosophy and I am going to leave a legacy of love and giving when I leave. So that's really my priority now.
To those who are given, much is expected.
Yeah, to those whom much is given, much is expected.
I love that.
Yeah.
If there's any other kind of thoughts on priorities, but my next question would be if you can kind of go back in time and talk to your 20-year-old self and have a quick conversation on, what would be a good path to life, maybe examining some of errors and pitfalls, or shining a light on some areas that you would want to tell your 20-year-old self this is probably a good path. What are some advice and talking points that you'd share with your younger version?
I've got one too.
Don't let anyone take away your value.
Oh, there you go.
Don't let anyone destroy your self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's mine.
I'm going to say a quickie here.
I forgot what I was going to say.
He'll come back.
He'll come back.
Living the way I did when I was younger, I learned to lie a lot, to not say things, which is another way of lying in a sense, keeping things to myself. But I did that a lot when I was younger. And I came to America, and one of the things that I got from other people that were wise was how valuable the truth is within me. Not other people's truth, because I have no control over that, but how was I going to start being honest? Peeling the layers. This has been a process. I mean, I'm 69. I've been working on myself since I was 22. I'm a psychologist. That was my way of getting well, and then helping others. But I would say that telling the truth and being authentic and thinking before I speak. I used to just speak, and now I think a little bit before I say something. I've also would say that one of the things that I would say to my 20-year-old is, it's okay to be you.
Yeah.
It really is. It doesn't matter what other people think.
Yeah.
And I wish it hadn't taken me this long to learn that what other people think of me is none of my business. I wish I knew that at 20. I didn't. I was out there trying to make everybody like me. And I would say that the greatest thing I've experienced and would say to my 20-year-old today is, it's okay that you made the mistakes. It's okay that you felt that way. How wonderful it is that I can do this and be honest and be real with everybody now. There's no need to hide anymore.
Well, I think we all, we learn from our mistakes. I mean, that's what growing up is, and it's like, I screwed up big time when I was in high school, and, I didn't care about going to school. It was like, who's got the next party? Where are we going? But as you grow up and you have your own family, it's like, whoa, it's important to, know who you are and where you're going. And, it took me a long time to get to that point also. So it's a process, and I'm getting up there in age, and I'm still learning.
We all are.
So, it's just,
Yes.
I think that for me in my 20s, I would have said, follow your dreams. Do what you want to do. Have a plan and go with it. but I never had that opportunity, or I took it away from myself, I guess. I didn't have the self-esteem or belief in myself. And I was so involved at that time, I was already raising my son. I was a young mama and didn't get to go to school till much later. So, I mean, there's things I can say, well, I love art, and I love fashion and design, and things like that I never did. Now, I can still do the art and things like that, and I don't think you're too old to do whatever you really want to do. If you have it in your mind to do it, do it. And Chris is right. Don't worry about what other people think. Do what you want to do that makes you happy, brings you joy, makes you smile in the morning when you get up, and gets you going, you know. And people around you pick up on that when you're happy and you're joyful. You don't get that when you hold it in. And I have learned that that's the hardest thing for me, is sometimes to say who I really am, because I didn't have that chance when I was younger. So
I would just like to add to my 20-year-old self and tell myself to love myself and really look at the great and the good that I had at that age, instead of picking everything apart, like, oh, I've got a little fat on my hip, or this, you know, when I was like 110 at 5'9", you know, like, enjoy the body and the mind and my friends that I had, and not always looking for something else. When I get a real job, when I get a real boyfriend, when I get a real thing, it's take the time to enjoy what you have at that moment and love yourself. That's what I would tell my 20-year-old self. You know, walk around in a bikini at 20 when you have a good body.
Let's go. Another topic I feel like in leadership is change. It's managing change in our lives. It's all about change. So I'd love to get some wisdom from your perspective, both the good, the bad, the ugly. How do you think our world and our society has changed for the good or the bad over the last 20, 30, 40 years from your perspective? And then what are the learning lessons that I want to impart on, you know, our youthful audience?
Put down your phone and talk to someone face to face.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one, is that the society has become so isolated, young people in particular. And unfortunately, a lot of it happened during COVID because they were forced to be separate, which is the worst time in a person's life, particularly a child, an adolescent, when they don't have any other influences around them that are positive. So I know that, and of course a lot of kids are, you know, they're literally on their computers playing games all the time, or they're on their phone, or they're texting. I mean, they can be texting each other when they're sitting next to each other. And one of the things that I've heard in the professional world is that many executives say that these kids don't know how to speak. They don't know how to carry on a conversation. And, you know, it's a really complicated problem. And I am not a parent, so I can imagine how hard it must be for parents who have to work 2 jobs, you know, either single parents or, you know, they're doing their best. But, you know, as soon as you plop a kid in front of a screen, which is certainly easier, and there's times when it's appropriate, you deny them the experience of using their imagination and playing. Creativity. Yeah, there's a new movie out called If that John Krasinski wrote. He's an actor, and his 2 girls, he noticed that as COVID went on, they were losing their playfulness and their imagination, and If stands for your imaginary friend. And that when people get older, they forget about their imaginary friends. So it's such a great story, but he said, I wrote it for my daughters because I saw this happening. So that's certainly one of them. It's just, you know, look people in the eye, value face-to-face communication. I don't like to be on the phone. I really don't like talking on the phone. I'd rather sit down with someone and meet them face-to-face. So that was mine.
Thank you, Barbie.
I think in our companies, because the world has gotten smaller because of communication, it's so easy to put something out there. And I think people miss so much because of that. And there's a lot of, I'll say it, false information. And a lot of people are leaders and some people are followers. And it's easy to get caught into that process. either the, good or bad, whatever. But if you don't really think for yourself or look outside of that group or that following or whatever it is and be a leader yourself, you really won't, have that direction for yourself. And I think that's what's happening in the world, sadly. I think there's so much sadness out there and strife and more coming, and we don't know from day to day what's going to happen in the world. But I think a lot of it has to do with what's out there on the internet, what's going on,
and who to believe and who's a
who
liar
to believe,
and
who's a liar.
telling the truth,
Exactly.
What is
exactly?
Yeah.
Well, I think, kids today, you see babies put in front of a computer at a year old.
Exactly.
They're wearing their little headphones
Yeah.
and, they've got the computer going in their face. And it's like, how are you going to teach these kids
the skills.
the skills of looking at somebody and speaking and talking and carrying on a conversation? And I know that's everybody, we've said that, but it's like, I have a almost 12-year-old grandson, and he's not allowed to be on the computer.
Wow.
Because his mom and his dad feel that he's too young to be on a computer, playing around, not knowing who they're talking to. And then when it comes time to, come into the real world they're behind. They're behind in their development, their social skills, their work ethics,
Yeah,
So-
the problem is they want everything now.
now.
Instant.
Yeah. Instant gratification.
Yeah.
And, you get an award for participating. You
Right,
don't get an
right,
award
yeah.
for participating. When we were young, you either win or you lose, and that's
Yeah,
it.
that was it, yeah.
And
No.
you worked harder.
Yeah.
If you wanted that award,
Yeah,
you practiced
exactly.
more
Right.
so you can get it.
And you actually have some joy when you get it.
You mean no 10th place trophies?
That's a real disservice. And I know people mean well, but it's a terrible disservice.
That's actually how I'd classify it. People mean well by it, but it is a disservice for sure.
But
Exactly.
I think there is a positive side to the internet and Facebook.
yeah, of course there is.
How would I have found this place had it not been for Facebook?
But you had to sort through it.
But
It's a time and
truly,
place.
Yeah.
I'm from England, and the connections I've made since I came here, back with people that I had long forgotten or lost because of certain pages or groups and things that formed, or someone looked me up and went, "Are you the one that I went to school?" And for me, that's been phenomenal because I don't have memory of my childhood or the people or the names. And so the other side of it is, like, even when you were talking about leadership, I think, could we be the leaders today without all of the technology that has taken place? Because we can reach far and wide so much more than we could before, because
And
we
more
have
efficiently,
that. And more
exactly.
efficiently.
Exactly.
So I think, it's balancing, and again,
Yes.
personalizing for myself what is good, understanding and that's what wisdom's brought me is this good for me or is it bad for me? Is being able to identify, is this going to work? Am I on the right road or am I not on the right road? And I think when you get older, you know the answer, but you still ask that question. Is this good for me to join or not? Is this person right for me to hang out with or not? When I was 30 or 40, I don't think I had that answer right. I just dived in. And, oh, you're my best friend, and da-da-da-da. And then you find out, what a snake.
They didn't have your best interest.
They didn't have my best interest. But I think when you get older, you realize, well, number one, for me, I was a leader in my field. But to be a good leader, you have to be a good listener. There's so many qualities that you have to be a leader. Like, be fun, be joyful, see the positive in things. Don't take on things you're not ready to fulfill. I mean, all these things are, to me, magic. The magic of growing older is knowing what your limitations are and also pushing through limitations, but knowing the difference between the two, is to me is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And you do that one day at a time. You don't think about yesterday and regret it. You don't think about tomorrow and hope. I don't live in hope and regret anymore. I live in today. What's in front of me? What am I having for lunch? right there and there. You know, these are big decisions. Yeah. And especially when you're working out, like, what am I? I don't just eat anything. I'm just being honest. I look at this. I've learned from John in the gym. It's like, have I had protein? Have I had, am I fueling my body so I can do this? And you said something in the beginning, Bryce. You said that leadership is being fueled kind of, I'm saying it in my own words, but it's fueled with the right intentions, the right goals, the right dreams. I actually don't dream anymore because I don't believe in thinking that things are going to happen or I would love to do. I have people come up to me all the time, Bryce, and say, oh my God, you're from England? That's my dream to go there. Well, do it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Why haven't you been?
Mic drop, leadership lesson of the day.
Yeah.
That's your dream? Do it.
Do it.
Let's go.
Make it happen. Only you can make it happen.
It's so true, though. If you want something, if you truly want it, I'm going to test someone. When they say I really want to do something, I go, but do you really want it? Because you would have done it by now. Yeah. So if you're going to say that and put it out into the universe that you want it, you better do it. Yeah. You better mean it.
And get there.
Right.
Otherwise, don't say it. Exactly. So when people ask me that kind of stuff, it's like going to the gym. They go, well, yeah, but, and those are what I call the yeah buts.
The yeah buts.
The yeah buts. If you're going to go to the gym, then and you want a better body, but you're going to stay home and eat, that ain't going to cut it. Go to the. This is my whole thing: is show up, and let the results happen. Be consistent and show up. That's my big thing. Is the showing up is like huge.
They're taking the first step.
Yeah,
exactly. And once you take that first step, like the 2 week that we get
Pass that mic to Linda.
Well, yeah, the trial, the 2 weeks. Come and try it for free and see how you like it. And I came for 6 sessions and I was hooked. I mean, and when you see the results within 2 weeks, you feel better. But you have to give it a try. You have to take the first step.
I have to say something.
Yeah.
I can't help this. When I read that Facebook ad, I thought it said that the gym was free. I thought, okay, this is nice. A nice gesture. 55 and older, you get it for free. So I thought, Medicare or whatever that.
Right.
Silver
sneakers.
Yeah, silver sneakers. Yeah. So I thought it was free. And at the end of the 2 weeks, I swear this happened. I was walking out that door over there, and John came running after me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, do you want to write a check or is it on a credit card? And I literally looked at him and said, what? I thought it was free. And he thought I was joking. And I said, oh, you mean you have to pay for it? But I want to say this to anybody who thinks that it's too much money. Who cares? Pay the money first, because it is, isn't it? An investment.
Oh, yeah. It's an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
It's the best investment you can make.
And by the way,
I'd rather pay that than to pay for all the medical bills.
And
you're going to invest in your health or you're going to pay for your sickness?
Here, Bryce, we get to be all leaders. We're all leaders in this because we're all important and we all have something important to say. And you guys have all led me. I mean, if I'm not doing it right, I've had you say to me, you might want to do this or bring your face up. That's leadership. We're sharing that amongst ourselves. So, yeah, I'm all set. I'm ready to go, Bryce.
Let's go.
Bring it on.
The initiative to do it.
Exactly.
No one else is going to do it for
No,
you.
and you know
have
what's
to take
nice
that
here?
first step.
If John comes over and tells you something to change or you're not doing it right, it's like personal coaching to me.
Sure.
It's like
exactly.
I pretty much I never remember anything. So he comes over to me all the time. He pulls my leg out to the left, or he's shoving my head over to the right, and I'm like, okay, and he doesn't care. He does it for everybody as many times as you need it, and that's what I love is I don't have to be perfect anymore.
Yeah.
Especially here.
Anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never was, but
Bryce, you're perfect, so you...
Oh, hardly.
What's remarkable to me is that John is able to run a class with 20 people in it, and
we're
even
all
by-
talking.
and have those conversations.
Yeah, and by
And notice
himself
that you were-
sometimes.
And remember all our names.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, like immediately. I don't know how you guys do that, but I
Well,
wouldn't be
it's
able
like
to.
your show, American show, Cheers, where everybody knows
Everybody
your name.
knew- That's what I always think of.
That's what I think of.
Actually, on the back end, if it's funny, we're the Cheers of Fitness. That's actually a training tagline that we have in our training
didn't know
program.
that.
Well, there you go.
There you go. You learn
Unpacking the
something every
kimono,
day.
if you will.
And it
I
works.
love that, because it really is that way here. Everyone knows your name.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I've never had that.
So I want to transition to a little bit about experiences that have changed perspective. And Chris, you laid down an incredible example of that when you moved from the UK to LA. So I'd love to kind of unpack the kimono a little bit and just kind of get some wisdom here on any experiences that you've had that's really had a profound change on your impact, or excuse me, your philosophy or your perspective on life. I know there's probably some gold here in this room right now. And don't be shy.
I don't want to be talking too much, but I have to say, having a baby at 50, finding out I was pregnant at 49, when I never thought I would have children, changed my life.
no kidding.
I thought I was a giver as a therapist and all that kind of stuff, but let me tell you, when you have a kid, that's a whole new way of giving.
Your life.
It changes your life. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that growing up with him, it's like we grew up together, because I was very young for my age. In some ways, I guess, immature. But he has been the highlight. I mean, coming to America, but having a baby at 50 with no complications, and having this wonderful body fit guy who teaches me a lot about weights, that's been a life-changing thing that goes on and on. The payoff is incredible, and I love being the best mum I can be, and that's sharing my wisdom with him and being a role model every day. Going to the gym when I say I'm going to go. I mean, he's learning all this from me. I've always got on my knees and played with him. Everything's been so vital to me to not do to him what was done to me, and to make sure that I'm 50 times better than that. And that I will be even better for you, Luke. That's his name. I'll be better for you even tomorrow. You never stop trying to be better. Taking more in, giving more out. That's my son. If anybody else
Thank
has
you.
another experience, it's so...
Oh, I'm sure.
So, Chris, I did the opposite of you. I had my son when I was barely 18.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a busy year for me. I graduated from high school. I got married. I had my son. And then when he was 5.5 weeks old, in December of the same year that I graduated, I got my first job, and I never looked back. And so my son was 5.5 weeks old when I started working, and I left that job in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, human resources, and a little finance background as well, but human resources. And then my husband and I now are on our second career, and so it's like do what you want to do and keep moving forward. And so now my son is 55. I've got 3 wonderful grandsons. I love them all. One of them is Luke. And yeah, it's a good name. And one's in college. Luke's going to go to college, and the youngest one is 13. So, life goes on. You never know what's going to happen, what's around the corner. But big thing is to be flexible, and not just physically, but mentally. And that goes for leadership as well, because the best people you have are the ones that are working with you. And, you can't get anywhere unless you have people that are a strong team, and you can only have a strong team when you work hard with them, and they understand where you're coming from and what your goals are, so they can match theirs to yours and help support the process, because you can't get anywhere without that. You really can't. And leadership is so important, but you can't do it by yourself. So, and being a young mommy, I was the leader of the the pack. Yeah. And I did go to college later, so
Good
that
on
was a
you.
big deal. Got my degree.
That's why I love leadership, to your point about building teams and connecting with people, because
Exactly.
if you want to go the famous African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Exactly.
And I've really taken that to heart and, tried to really pour into people, build teams, and to your point, it just makes everything better.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together
Exactly.
It takes a village.
to raise a child.
Yeah, I remember, I'll share with you, when I was in human resources and I was a VP level reporting to the president, and it was a large aerospace firm and a lot of responsibility. At one time we had 1,200 employees. We ended up with 500 when I left, not because I left, but but anyway, the fact was that I learned a lot in those years of leading that group of people that work for me or with me. I say they work with me because we work together. But it was a challenge many times, and I felt alone because when you're a woman in aerospace and you're in that level, you've got a room full of men that you deal with. And they're all leaders, don't get me wrong. It's just that you fit in differently, so you have to keep your perspectives about you. And I apologize, but I forgot what was the...
Oh, the initial question was just about, something that's happened in your life that has been a big change that's really changed your perspective or philosophy.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I already answered it then.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Well,
Linda.
your story is very similar to my story. I graduated from high school in the 60s, and like I had explained before, I had a community that was very, very strict on everything. So I ended up wanting to marry my high school sweetheart because I was pregnant, but my parents would not allow me to. So instead of getting married and keeping my child, I had to give my child up for adoption. That was the only choice that I was given. And I moved to Southern California, stayed with my sister, and had my child, gave the baby up, and then started going, working and doing everything. And I never knew what happened to him. But when we were talking about the internet, because of DNA testing and the internet and 23andMe, he found me, and now I'm reconnected with him.
Oh, wow.
He's 57 years old, and he's a beautiful man. Works here in Orange County, and his adopted parents, I just had lunch with them. They are, they thank me for the gift that I gave him, but that was life-changing for me because it took me, like I said, 20 years to finally get over that trauma of not being able to keep your child and knowing that your child was in good hands. But now, looking back on that choice, it was the best choice for him and the best choice for me. And so...
What would you say if you look back? What's the lesson you learned throughout that? And you can keep the mic.
I think the lesson that I try to tell my children is God gives you your children and you try to guide them the best you can. But as they get older, they start maturing and don't be so strict on them. I mean, let them have a little bit of freedom and let them explore and let them go the direction they want to be. And it may not be the direction you want them, but college is for a lot of people, it's not for another. My oldest granddaughter is so beautiful. She had a few, challenges in high school, being bullied and stuff, but she went to college for 1 year and she decided that's not for me, but now she runs a business in San Clemente and is a pet business, and she's doing awesome. So, that was her path. And I think that's the perspective that I've gained is everybody's path can be a little bit different. We can all make mistakes. You learn from them, and then you move forward in maybe a different direction. But it needs to be with children and even my grandkids. I don't want to tell them what to do because I had to do that. And I think, you know, it just makes it, in the long run, they need to become their own people, their own person.
I want to transition. You mentioned challenges, and that's one of my other topics that I want to discuss. So you've had some experience in life, and we all go through challenges. That's just the essence of being a human. I would love to unpack maybe one significant challenge that you've went through, and how did you overcome it, and what was the learning lesson behind it?
So in 2001, in May of 2001, I had a job at a computer company. I had been doing it for 18 years. It's a great job. You know, good money, loved all the people I worked with, and probably several months before that, we had been acquired by another company. So I was very suddenly laid off.
After 18 years?
After 18 years, no warning. And so I was, of course, stunned and shocked and, you know, out of my mind, because I just thought, you know, I'd never had anything like that happen. I'd never been laid off or fired or anything. So, and then 3 weeks later, I was on a bicycle on the peninsula and was coming back across 32nd Street, Toledo, and that's when the car backed out and hit my right knee with a major injury. And I was non-weight bearing on my right leg for 3 months. Major surgery with 3 big screws. And I had never had I had never broken a bone. I had never had anything like that happen. So, and then when I was ready to come back to work, 9/11. And I was interviewing with a company, and the guy said, you know, you are the kind of person we want to work here, but we're forming a whole new group, and we have no training, and you don't have any experiences, so just keep checking in. I ended up selling cars for a year. Jaguars, at least. It was the most miserable, hardest pressure-filled job I've ever had. And yet, during that time, every couple of months, I'd check in with him again. And in August of the following year, 2002, he said, hey, I've hired a sales manager. Why don't you come in and interview? And I did. And he said to me, I can't believe you kept calling. And I said, well, you never said no. You said call back. And what I realized is that I could do it. I did it. I just put my head down. I did what I had to do to, you know, earn a living and to get beyond whatever had happened to me. And, you know, I was like, wow, I'm a survivor. So I never had to prove that to myself before. And that was probably the biggest lesson I learned, is that I can do it. And I ended up, I've been in this job for 21 years. So.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
So I'd say one of my challenges, I had a 3-year-old and I was 5 months pregnant, and then found out my husband was cheating and I was going through a divorce. And at that time, work was my savior. I don't know how, but I'd go to work and I'd work with, I'm a speech pathologist, so I'd work with kids and parents all day long. But that really got me through that really tough time of, not expecting that to happen, and having the rug pulled out from underneath me of, starting my life over, and it was going to be okay. And I just wanted my girls to know we don't have to put up with stuff that we don't agree with. Yeah. And I wanted to be a role model to them that I was a strong woman and would move forward. I've had some bumps along the way, and they've, ridden those bumps with me, and I've had to apologize for some of the things I did as a mom, and not always being the mom that I wanted to be, but having so much on my plate at that time. And then raising them as a single mom, I think I'm amazed by how well they are doing, and they picked their own paths. It's not always the path I want them to be on, and I've had to adjust my thinking for some of the issues they've had or what they're doing, and let them be happy. Might not be my happiness for them, but it's their happiness. And I think that's probably one of, along with that challenge, is I can't control other people, including my children, and letting them find their own happiness, whatever it is.
That must have been very
So,
difficult.
yeah.
As a parent wants the best for their children. but
Right.
They're not making the decisions you think are right.
Right.
And that's hard to let go. Yeah, I was really proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
You should be proud
Yeah.
of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I can go through, my traumas or my heartache, but when it's your child, you always want to protect them. And sometimes you can't. They have to go through those trials to learn from them and grow themselves. And that's hard.
Speaking of happiness, I have a few other kind of topics of conversation, and one of them is happiness as it compares to loss. And it's interesting, I'm getting emotional now. I'm 40 years young, and it's for the first time in my life, I'm kind of transitioning to feeling loss. And I'm sure we've all felt that. So from your perspective, because I know there's going to be a lot of wisdom that we're going to uncover here, what is the relationship as we progress in life and we experience loss with still trying to maintain happiness? I would love some insights from your perspective on how that dichotomy and how you've navigated that at this point in your life.
It brought to mind my sister, and I shared that earlier, but I lived in Huntington Beach, and I was going through a divorce, and she had been ill for quite a while with breast cancer, and she passed away, but she was my very best friend. I loved her dearly, still do, and we used to walk all the time in the beach, and we'd go to yard sales and estate sales and check things out, and just, we were the Elmer deals of the neighborhood, just having a good old time as sisters. And anyway, so that was a major loss in my life. And when I lost her, I lost part of me. I really lost part of me because she was my best friend as well as my sister. And she was only 14 months younger than me. And I always said, I think I got the womb ready for you, Marla. Her name was Marla. Well, when she died, I had to do something for her. I had to do something. And that was back when they had that 60-mile walk with breast cancer. 3 day.
I did that.
Did you? Did you, Linda?
From Malibu to
Yeah. Mine was from Santa Barbara to Malibu.
How many miles?
60. 60. And so to do that walk, you have to train. Well, I did all the things you're not supposed to do when you are going through trauma like that, divorce, or you've lost somebody that you love. I sold my home in Huntington Beach. I moved to the city of Orange, far away from the beach. I started walking, and I signed up for this walk, and in her name. And she worked for the Superior Courts of Orange County. And I raised a lot of money because of her friends, her family, my family, and our friends. And anyway, I raised over $10,000. And it was all for that purpose. And that was an important thing to me to do as a tribute to her. And like she always says, Sherry, I'm okay either way. And that's what she would say when she was going through this cancer. She said, I'll be okay either way. I said, I know, I'll see you someday. So that was what I remember.
I love that. One of my leadership and life's philosophies is turning adversity to your advantage and going through a very adverse challenge, still being able to provide some hope and light to humanity is a classic example of turning adversity into an advantage for humankind.
Exactly. And coming down that hill in Malibu, where everybody was on the beach and the balloons are there, and my family was there, and my brother-in-law, who's her husband, and the kids, her 2 kids, and my son and his wife. Anyway, all of that, it was so emotional. I can put myself right there right now. And just seeing all that, and that last mile or so, I think I flew down the hill. The only thing I had that was sore on me was my calves, and that's because I didn't really train on heels, and I didn't get one blister. Wow. And I changed my shoes twice. I would change my shoes and my socks as I walked and drink a lot of water. But that was anyway, it worked for me. So that was a challenge. And
thank you.
It was very difficult.
I like what you said. I mean, I think we can honor those, that, like my mom and my dad both. I think of them often whenever, my mother played the piano. Anytime I hear the piano play, I can picture her at church playing the piano, and my dad worked for the forestry, so every time I see pine trees, I think of him. And I think he died with Parkinson's disease and my mom Alzheimer's. So how I feel is I always give money and do whatever I can to raise money for Alzheimer's. My oldest daughter, does clinical research for Alzheimer's, and in fact, she just did a podcast for Orange County Talk Radio on the clinical trials. So giving back and trying to advance cancer. I mean, I'm a survivor of cancer, but anything you can do to keep their memory alive, I think helps cope with it. And my sister passed away. I was just at her funeral, and it was so beautiful because she had so many friends that told stories about how she touched their lives. And then I think when you know they have a legacy and they're going to continue in the hearts of others, I think the love and kindness that you show to everybody is what's going to carry forward, and both in your family or your friends, neighbors. So, yeah.
Thank you, Linda.
One thing I always kind of remind myself is, and I tell my children, if we don't feel loss, we won't know what happiness is. And it kind of gets me through when I am in periods of loss or depression. It's a period of time, I feel it, I could, adjust to it, deal with it, and then move on. And then when I feel really happy, it's feeling both sides of the spectrum and knowing that I can feel, significant happiness, but I could also feel significant loss of something. But, having those two feelings and realizing that they're both valid, and you could learn from both of them and move forward. So
That's beautiful.
I have to say the biggest losses for me were my parents. As I said, they were both really remarkable people. So, and fortunately, my dad was 87 and my mother was 90. So, and they were both completely mentally clear to the last breath, which was a huge gift for all of us. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And I think, if you don't have great love, you don't feel great loss. It's the great love that causes the feelings of the great loss. And the thing for me is remembering how amazing they were and how lucky we were. And it's even more remarkable what people will say when you say, oh, yeah, I'm Barbie Hendon. Oh, were you Larry's daughter? He was la. Or Mary's daughter? Oh, she was, and they're still talking about my parents. They've been gone a while. So it brings me so much joy. Even though I still miss both of them so much, particularly my mother. She was really, my dad, she was the glue of the family. She kept the family together when, we'd all be kind of keeping in touch, and we were all worried about losing touch with each other when she passed. But, we've managed to continue to do that. But it was, I really feel like if you didn't have great love, you don't understand great loss. And for me, it was really both of my folks. Yeah.
Barbie, that's an incredible segue, because one of my last questions here is about defining love, because it's an incredibly powerful emotion that connects us. So I'm curious for the group, how do you define love? What does it mean to you?
It's making me tear.
How do you find it?
Define.
Oh, define it. I'm sorry.
we're still looking for
I'm looking
For love in all the wrong places.
50 years of exactly right. Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. The last question really touched me, because one of my greatest fears was to care about anybody. So I always swore from a child that I would never let myself love somebody. Sorry. And I managed to keep it that way till I was about 40. I was never going to get married. I was never going to have children. I was never going to I just didn't ever want to feel lost. So, and I felt like I had accomplished such a big thing. But I would always ask myself at the end of the day, why am I not happy? I kind of realized that I didn't let myself feel the loss of as a child. I wanted to be strong and powerful, and once I allowed myself to feel a little bit lost, I felt a lot of loss as it kept going. But you asked how they're connected, and it's like happiness is an amazing thing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It is an amazing thing, but you can't feel happiness unless you let go of something. And I've let go. I lost my sister as well. And even though I didn't know her, I never knew she was gone until I got a call from a friend of mine saying, your sister died 3 years ago. And here I was looking for her. And I never got word. So I think it's so important, because if you feel loss, then you know happiness, like you were saying. And that is love. I think love is the combination of grief and happiness together. I think that's what love is. It's knowing both sides of the coin and living it and allowing it to come in and to go out. That's what I feel like. Love it. I feel love in this gym. I don't think I've ever felt, honestly, so much love as when I come in here. And people don't know that about me, but when I leave my house in the morning, my thing is always about seeing you guys. I mean, every one of you means something to me. And I've never had a family, but this this is my family. Because I don't know family.
That's what we say at the end of all the workouts.
Yeah.
Family, yeah.
Family.
Very intentionally.
1, 2, 3 family. I mean, that's
Very intentionally.
it is. Yeah.
Do you really?
And I love it that you reach out and say, hey, Michelle, how are you?
She's
Yeah.
a
Touch
light.
me on the back.
Oh.
Yeah, you make me feel that.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah.
It's funny because I do love people, and I don't know if they know that I do, but when you've had a life like mine, love is not a light word. It comes
heavy.
from deep. It's my whole.
Yeah.
It's who I am. I can't be any different now. Once you let the cat out of the bag, it's all over. It's over.
Well, thank you. I'm clearly emotional as well. My mother is an incredible soul. Many of you met with her. She poured so much love. And because of that, one of the things I've learned is I love people. I really do.
Yeah.
And I love this business. I love working with people. I love leading people. This is the essence of why I do what we do.
Yeah.
This has been incredible, and I'm so grateful for everyone's time. As we round out today, I have one last question. I would love to kind of go around the table, start with you, Sherry, and finish with you, Mary. We talked a little bit about this as legacy. And from my perspective, I live with urgency and passion, because what I've realized is we got one shot at this thing, one spin around this globe, and there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees at all. No. So I'm curious on how we all approach legacy and what legacy that you want to leave behind.
I think we've touched on it today, but I think I want to leave not the material things, but what I gave that wasn't material. The love, the warmth, the kindness, the joy that I hope that I've given to my family, and the memories and pictures, and that's physical stuff, but just that they know that they were truly loved. And you're right. Somebody said to me once, Sherry, this is not a dress rehearsal. Get on with it. Mm-hmm. It's your life. And what are you going to do with it? And, don't look back. Just keep going forward. And I think, but that's the greatest joy we can give, is that you can't see or touch. But it's within each of us that comes out, like Chris is a good example. She's a little light when she walks in the door there. and while she's telling us all how happy she is, it makes us happy too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle?
I think it's a little bit of how I've touched people. I did pick a career where I can touch people and make a difference in their lives. I do work a lot with the autistic population and the head and neck cancer population. And, when I used to say to my ex-husband, who's a lawyer, so he makes a lot of money compared to me, but I always get the joy and satisfaction that I've touched somebody's life. And when I have had a wife whose husband has a prosthesis put in his throat and hasn't talked because he had a laryngectomy, and looks at his wife after I put it in and tells her he loves her, I help make that difference.
Yeah.
And I've touched a life, and that's priceless. So it doesn't matter about the money I don't make because I'm not a lawyer. I've made a difference in somebody's life. When I've worked with a child who wasn't talking and they can say, "I love you, Mommy," or things like that, that's the first time when their child's 5 that they've heard their kid say something, that's priceless.
Yeah.
And it's leaving experiences, since my cancer experiences, it's not so much of what I can leave my kids, but what vacations and experiences and memories I leave them is more of what I think about now, and how I affect, and what my legacy is going to be is how I affect, mankind and treat other people. So,
Thank you. Barbie.
You would make this the last question. I want my legacy for people to remember me like my mother was remembered. She was, in my eulogy, I said she was grace personified. And I hope that I am remembered as someone who was kind and generous, charitable, and that really loved all of life. My mother loved nature, and she loved animals, and she loved children and people and helping people. And I feel that so strongly, since I don't have a family of my own, that I want to be remembered as someone who was a good person and meant a lot to a lot of people, I guess would be what I want. I just want to leave something in the lives of the people that I leave behind.
Thank you.
Will.
You've already done that for me, Barbara.
Boy, this is a tough one to end on, because I think we all ask ourselves, will it matter when I die? Who will even notice if I'm gone? And what life I've lived is, it goes by so fast, especially as we get older. I mean, it's just like yesterday that I turned 70, now I'm 75, and I go, oh my God, I'm on my way to 80. But inside you still feel like I'm, in my 20s, and it just, life goes by so fast, and there's so many different things. But the same with you. My parents were great parents. They were loving. They were giving. I had a great upbringing, and I tried to do that for my own kids, a legacy. But I think it's leaving love and memories. I do the same thing. I like traveling and giving my kids experiences. We go on a lot of trips together. We do a lot of things together, and I think we lead by examples, and so showing love, unconditional love, because that's really the most important thing. And, my faith in God, I try to leave that with my kids so that they believe in a like, when I am gone, you will see me again. And I think, we all will be gone eventually, but you don't know when your time is up, so you want to show love and try to find. The other thing I was thinking is what you do does make a difference. You find a job, you try to, yes, we need to make money, but try to do something you're passionate about, like you are, Bryce. I love your inspirational Monday little emails that you send to us. It really, it makes a difference. But to try to be an inspiration to my family and to the whoever's lives. And, you know, volunteering, I think, is very important to try to give back to the community. And hopefully we make a difference in somebody's life besides making ourselves happy. So,
Thank you, Linda.
I like the making myself happy.
That too.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to say that in terms of legacy, my son. I mean, he's everything to me. I never thought I would have a child. And it's been a picnic. I mean, it really has. The challenges, all of it has been a growth experience for me. And the only person I can think of that I can honestly say I've had an impact on will be my son. I used to think it was speaking all over the country and doing all that stuff and how it affected people, but today it's more about my son and making sure that he knows love, a thing I never knew, isn't that? That's what's so ridiculous about the whole thing is I didn't know what love was, and yet I know how to show him. And for me, that's my faith in God.
there you go.
God has, I know this sounds weird, but I think God loved me even when I wasn't lovable, and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Because the people I grew up with didn't like me and didn't want me. So the gift I've given my son is I tell him every day how much I want him, how much I love him, how much I want him to do what he wants to do. I respect him, and I've told him that since day one. I respect you. I will always respect you. Your thoughts, your feelings, your life, I want to listen about it. I want you to have your own mind, not mine. I want you to be your own self, and that's personified in who he is. So, and I just want to say this, Bryce. What you've given me is a whole new lease on life. I thought I had it all through what we've talked about today, but I've never seen passion to do the right thing as I've seen in you. To do the right thing, the loving thing. It's unusual in a man of 40. And I'm speaking as an older woman. But if I'd had what you have right now when I was 40, I can't imagine where I would be today. But I'm grateful for my path, and I challenge you to do more, because you got it.
Thank you.
How do I follow this?
You guys are all amazing women and man. I had a great life.
Yeah.
My dad was a pilot for the airlines, and I could fly anywhere in the world that I wanted to go. And I would I'd say to my mom, "Can we go to Mexico City? I want to go to Mexico City and see what it's like to live in Mexico. Can we fly to London? I want to go to, so-and-so, to Harrods to go Christmas shopping." I was a spoiled, rotten child who had an incredible, amazing life. And my parents, they gave that to me. And I've raised my kids to go and travel and see the world, to see what is out there, and to see where things are not easy, where it's hard, where you see kids with no shoes walking around, they're filthy dirty. And they're doing that right now with their kids. So my grandchildren are experiencing amazing, wonderful lives and being able to travel and see the world and to be able to volunteer, to be able to, help somebody who's in a wheelchair. I volunteered for about 25 years for a wheelchair tennis program at Saddleback College. My husband was the coach for the college team. He went to every Olympic game. He was a Paralympics wheelchair tennis coach. He went to England. He's been to France. He's been to Germany or Georgia, to all over coaching wheelchair tennis. And we were able to do that. We took off for a 6-month sabbatical, and we traveled the South Pacific and volunteered and taught kids how to get out and have fun, to be able to play tennis, even if you don't have legs or you don't have, the ability to sit up. You can, there's ways to make it so that you can get out there and enjoy life. And I think that that's the legacy that I've left my kids. And I think that it's important to be able to give to people that are not as fortunate as we are. Absolutely. And that's, and so anyhow, that's, I feel that that's what my legacy is to my family, is to the memories and the new people that they meet along the way.
And they're passing it along.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you, Mary and friends. And I guess I'll bring it.
I like that.
And I'll bring it home for me. This is something from my legacy that I tell my team, my family, my clients, to the audience here. I want to leave you all just a little bit better than I found you. And whether that's 2 days of my life or 20 years or 40 years, and I think we're all on that same mission together. Yeah. And this is the essence of the show. This is the essence of this conversation today. So as we wrap today, I'm just super grateful for the opportunity to speak with you today, for your loyalty, for your membership, not only to our organization here at Fit Body, but for just being great people. One of my passions, Barbara, you mentioned this with your parents, that they were sharp as a tack until their old age. When I first saw Fit Body and Fit Body Forever specifically, I wanted to give that gift to other people, because it's not about just the amount of years, it's about the quality of life within those years. And this has just been absolutely amazing. This show is about teaching leadership, and I think leadership is always the problem, it's always the solution, and we extracted a lot of wisdom today. I got better today. Friends, I know you got better today, and I'm hearing it from our audience today that you also got better. So with that, I want to send my gratitude. I'm super grateful, and until next time, friends.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
You know what? This was kind of like having lunch together, or
Yeah,
something,
it was.
where you get a chance to talk
Where's
and learn
the
about
steak?
each other. Yeah, where's the steak?
That's what John would say. Where's my steak?
Right?
So I'm going to close it out here.
Yeah.
Friends, I hope you got amazing value from this content. My biggest ask, not only to like and subscribe, but share this with someone who needs more leadership and more wisdom in their life. Friends, I want to thank you again. And remember, adversity is your advantage, and we'll see you in the next episode.